Success is not something that happens by accident. Success is something you must plan for, something you must earn in advance. Today, I want to share with you 12 powerful choices that can transform your life immediately. These aren't just ideas. They are proven principles that have helped countless individuals rise from mediocrity to greatness. What separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who merely dream is not luck, it's not circumstance. It's the choices they make daily. Remember this truth. You are where you are and what you are because of your mental attitude in which you relate yourself to other people and to your circumstances. Your life changes the moment you make a new, congruent, and committed decision. Choose your definite major purpose. The starting point of all achievement is desire. Most people wander aimlessly through life, never discovering the one thing they were created to do. But you have greatness within you. The moment you definitively decide what you want to accomplish with your life, the universe begins to work with you. When Thomas Edison committed to creating the electric light bulb, he failed over 10,000 times before succeeding. What kept him going? His definite major purpose. Today, I challenge you to choose your definite major purpose. What is that one goal that stirs your soul? What is that dream that keeps you awake at night? Write it down, make it specific, put a date on it. This isn't wishful thinking. This is the foundation of all genuine success. Your mind needs direction. When you identify your purpose, you activate the most powerful force in human psychology, focus and desire. Remember, definiteness of purpose determines what you will become. Without it, your energies scatter in all directions. With it, you become unstoppable. Choose your definite purpose today and watch how quickly your life begins to transform. When John F. Kennedy announced the mission to put a man on the moon, he created a definite major purpose for an entire nation, and within a decade, that seemingly impossible goal was achieved. Choose your mental attitude. Your mental attitude is the one thing over which you have complete control. The greatest discovery of our generation is that human beings can alter their lives by altering their attitudes of mind. How you think determines how you feel, and how you feel determines what you do. When you wake up each morning, you have a choice to make. Will you embrace the day with enthusiasm, or will you drag yourself through it with indifference? This choice, this single choice, will determine the quality of your day more than any external factor ever could. Positive mental attitude isn't just feel-good philosophy. It's practical psychology that produces tangible results. Muhammad Ali used his mental attitude to overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Before every fight, he declared himself the greatest. Not after he won, but before he even stepped into the ring. He programmed his mind for success. You must do the same. Choose right now to maintain a positive mental attitude regardless of circumstance. When you do, you'll find that the very circumstances you once complained about begin to shift in your favor. Your mental attitude is magnetic. It attracts corresponding conditions. Choose to expect the best, prepare for the worst, and capitalize on whatever comes. This single choice will revolutionize your experience of life. The science behind this phenomenon is compelling. Researchers have discovered that positive thoughts release neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, which not only make you feel good, but also enhance brain function. Your brain literally performs better when you maintain a positive outlook. Negative thoughts, by contrast, trigger stress responses that impair cognitive function and weaken immune response. Viktor Frankl, who survived Nazi concentration camps, by discovering that even when everything else was taken from him, he still retained the last of human freedoms, the ability to choose his attitude in any given circumstance. If he could maintain mental control in those conditions, what excuse do we have? Your mental attitude acts as a filter through which you experience reality. Two people can face identical situations yet have completely different experiences based solely on their mental approach. The optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. The pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity. This power extends beyond mere perception. Your attitude influences your actions, and your actions create your results. With a positive mindset, you'll take initiative, persist through challenges, and recognize possibilities that would remain invisible to someone with a negative outlook. Consider how this plays out in everyday situations. When faced with criticism, a positive mind seeks the valuable feedback hidden within rather than becoming defensive. When encountering obstacles, it asks, how can I overcome this? Instead of lamenting, why does this always happen to me? These small shifts in perspective lead to dramatically different outcomes over time. The beauty of mental attitude is that it's entirely within your control, regardless of external circumstances. You may not control the weather, the economy, or other people's actions, but you always control your response. This isn't denying reality or embracing toxic positivity. It's about choosing the most productive and empowering perspective available to you. Developing a consistently positive mental attitude requires practice. Begin each day by consciously setting your mental tone. When negative thoughts arise, recognize them without judgment and intentionally replace them with constructive alternatives. Surround yourself with positive influences and limit exposure to negativity. Practice gratitude daily. Focus on what's going right rather than what's going wrong. Remember that your mental attitude is not just a private matter, it radiates outward, affecting everyone around you. A positive outlook inspires others, strengthens relationships, and creates an upward spiral of collective well-being. The choice is yours, and it's one you make anew each moment. Choose wisely, for no other decision has a greater impact on the quality of your life. Choose your relationships wisely. We become the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with. This simple yet profound principle shapes the trajectory of our lives more than almost any other factor. Your inner circle silently molds your thinking patterns, influences your aspirations, and ultimately determines your results. The critical question you must ask yourself is, are the people surrounding me elevating my potential or extinguishing it? Your relationships are never neutral. They're either sharpening you or dulling your edge. They either pour fuel into your fire or water it down until your inner flame flickers and dies. This is the invisible architecture of success that too many ignore. You can be driven, disciplined, and determined, but if you're constantly surrounded by those who doubt, drain, or distract you, you're rowing against the tide. Their energy seeps into your bones. Their fears become your hesitation. Their indifference becomes your inaction. Now consider the opposite. Think about what happens when you surround yourself with people who are hungry for greatness, who see potential in adversity, and who push you to rise higher when you settle for less. These people are rare, and when you find them, guard them like treasure. They're the catalysts of transformation. They don't just believe in your goals, they hold you accountable to them. They challenge you, not with criticism, but with conviction. Their standards raise your standards. Their consistency forces you to grow. These are not casual acquaintances. They are strategic alliances for your future. This is where the mastermind principle becomes more than theory. It becomes a way of life. When 2 or more minds align in perfect harmony toward a shared purpose, a third invisible force is created, a mastermind. It's this principle that fueled the empires of Ford, Carnegie, and Edison. These men didn't rise alone. They built councils of trust, high-caliber thinkers, idea men, executors. They knew that one good idea in isolation might never materialize, but when minds unite, innovation ignites. You don't need a room full of geniuses. You need just a few souls whose frequency matches your future, not your past. Seek people who talk about ideas, not people. Seek minds that value principles over popularity. Surround yourself with those who are building, not blaming, those who are learning, not lingering, those who speak life into your ambitions rather than doubt into your direction. Understand this: some people are seasonal. Their role in your life may have served its purpose, and clinging to them out of history, guilt, or obligation becomes a silent sabotage. Growth often demands separation. You cannot elevate your life while tethered to weights disguised as friendships. You are not disloyal for outgrowing those who refuse to grow. You are not selfish for choosing progress over stagnation. You are not cruel for choosing to protect your peace over preserving dead connections. That doesn't mean you cut ties with malice. It means you create space with clarity. You move with compassion but remain uncompromising with your boundaries. Because every minute you spend in relationships that deplete you is a minute stolen from relationships that could multiply you. Be intentional about this. Audit your circle regularly. Who inspires you to be better? Who drains your energy? Who believes in your vision even when it's invisible to the world? Who laughs when you win? Who listens when you lose? Take note. Your emotional environment is just as important as your physical one. If your circle doesn't challenge you, it's not a circle, it's a cage. Now expand this principle beyond people. Think about what voices are in your head daily through books, podcasts, media, and conversations. Every input is shaping your internal narrative. Choose authors whose lives mirror the values you aspire to. Follow thinkers whose words stir your soul, not numb your ambition. Fill your environment with success signals, not noise, not gossip, not distractions. Remember, you are always under the influence. The only question is, whose influence are you under? Choose influences that speak to your future, not your fears. And then, don't just find these people, become one of them. Be the friend who uplifts, be the mentor who shows up, be the partner who reminds others of their power. Because the quality of your relationships will ultimately mirror the quality of who you are. You will attract what you embody. Want excellence? Embody it. Want loyalty? Offer it. Want support? Give it freely. The journey to greatness is not a solo endeavor. Even the most independent minds needed a council. Even the fiercest warriors needed a brotherhood. Even the visionaries had a tribe. So build your circle like your legacy depends on it, because it does. And once you do, protect it fiercely. Energy is contagious. Mindsets are viral. Ambition is infectious. But so is mediocrity. So is complacency. So is fear. Choose relationships that water your roots and stretch your branches. Let your circle be your greenhouse, not your graveyard. Because the person you will become 5 years from now is hidden in the friendships you nurture today. Choose continuous learning. Your mind is your most powerful asset, but only when it is active, hungry, and humble. Too many people graduate from school and quietly retire their minds, assuming learning ends with a diploma. But success doesn't reward degrees, it rewards growth. In a world evolving at breakneck speed, yesterday's knowledge becomes today's irrelevance. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. If you're not adapting, you're decaying. And if you think you already know enough, you've already started to decline. There is no final destination for the growth-minded. The finish line keeps moving, not because life is unfair, but because you are capable of more. The mind, like a muscle, must be challenged or it atrophies. The moment you stop feeding it with new information, deeper insights, and fresh perspectives, it begins feeding on your past, and you become a relic of what once was, not a force of what could be. Look around at the marketplace. The highest earners are not the most talented. They're the most teachable. They've made learning a lifestyle. They see books as mentors, conversations as classrooms, mistakes as professors. They understand that every experience, especially failure, is curriculum for a better future. Learning isn't about accumulating facts. It's about transformation. It's about seeing the world in more nuanced ways, solving bigger problems, connecting more dots. The most valuable people in any industry are not those who know everything, but those who can learn anything, quickly, consistently, and humbly. Make this a principle in your life. Every day, I either grow or I regress. There is no standing still. Progress is never passive. You don't stumble into wisdom, you seek it. You mine for it. You dig for it. In every interaction, in every book, in every failure. And don't wait for inspiration. Schedule it. Carve out time every single day for self-education. Even 30 minutes of focused learning daily compounds into a master's degree over a few years. While others binge distractions, you'll binge distinction. While they consume for escape, you'll consume for elevation. Read books that stretch you beyond your current limits. Listen to people who've built what you dream about. Attend events where minds collide and expand. Learn from failures, yours and others. Study patterns, study history, study human nature, because the more you understand, the less you fear, And the less you fear, the more you act. Think of Abraham Lincoln, who taught himself law by candlelight in the back of a log cabin. He had no formal education, no connections, and no advantages. But what he did have was a relentless hunger to learn, and that hunger changed the course of a nation. Think of Benjamin Franklin, who spent his evenings reading philosophy and science while others drank away their potential. These men didn't have more time. They simply made learning a non-negotiable. Understand this. Your current income, your level of influence, your depth of relationships, they all reflect your current capacity. If you want more, you must become more. And to become more, you must learn more. Here's the truth most avoid. Your financial ceiling, your creative ceiling, your leadership ceiling, they're all internal. They're mental. And the only way to raise them is to raise your awareness. Awareness leads to understanding. Understanding leads to action. Action leads to transformation. But beware, information without implementation is delusion. You must not only learn, you must apply. Insight without execution becomes noise. So, when you read a book, extract the lesson. When you hear a podcast, apply the principle. When you see a pattern, test it in your life. That's when learning becomes power, not before. Learning also builds confidence, not arrogance, confidence. Because when you know more, you fear less. When you study a challenge, it shrinks in your mind. When you understand the terrain, you move with purpose. Knowledge transforms confusion into clarity, doubt into decisiveness, and hesitation into speed. Remember, the greats are always students. They are obsessed with mastery, allergic to complacency. They don't just read, they study. They don't just consume, they implement. They don't just listen, they question, challenge, and refine, because they understand that wisdom is not static, it evolves, and so must they. So choose to become a lifelong student, not because you're not enough, but because you are capable of becoming so much more. Make your hunger for learning unquenchable. Let it be the fire that fuels your mornings and the calm that closes your nights. Let others rest on their credentials while you stack knowledge like bricks, building a fortress of insight that no economic downturn, technological shift, or cultural storm can erode. Let them settle for borrowed opinions while you forge original thinking. Read, reflect, refine, apply, repeat. This is how leaders are born. This is how legacies are built. So, ask yourself this: what did I learn today? And more importantly, how will I use it tomorrow? Because the greatest tragedy isn't ignorance. It's potential wasted through unwillingness to grow. Your future self is counting on you. Learn relentlessly, apply courageously, and rise endlessly. Choose to take immediate action. The graveyard of potential is filled with people who almost started, who planned to begin, who intended to act but never did. The truth is, knowledge without action is nothing more than a polished excuse. While the dreamers are busy mapping out the perfect moment, the doers are out there building imperfect empires. Action is the great separator. It is the knife that cuts through indecision, fear, doubt, and analysis paralysis. Most people are waiting for clarity, for permission, for inspiration. But the winners in life don't wait. They initiate. They understand that motion creates emotion. Movement creates momentum, and momentum, once built, becomes unstoppable. You don't need to have the entire plan figured out. You need to move. Take the next logical step. Not next week, not later tonight, now. Because every second you hesitate, your opportunity is moving further out of reach. Action births feedback, and feedback births improvement. You don't learn the most by thinking, you learn the most by doing. Even the smallest step taken today is worth more than the grandest idea postponed until someday, because someday is a lie. Someday never arrives. What you delay, you decay. Procrastination is not laziness, it's the silent assassin of greatness. It disguises itself as preparation, but it's really fear in a clever costume. The truth is, you will never feel ready. But readiness is overrated. The most successful people in history were rarely ready. They just decided. They jumped and built wings on the way down. They trusted that clarity would come after commitment. So what must you do today that your future self will thank you for? What uncomfortable, imperfect action can you take right now to prove to yourself that you're done waiting? Burn the list, kill the delay, silence the doubt, and move. Because while the rest are watching, worrying, and wishing, you will be building.